how to measure net carbs, non-impact carbs, and low GI carbs to sustain your energy levels on a keto diet. Carbs are one of the most controversial topics when it comes to the keto diet. If you're just starting your keto journey, learning about carbs is vital as they are one of the main things you'll be constantly on the lookout when making your food choices. The idea behind net carbs is that certain carbohydrates don't need to be tallied in your total carb count for the day. In other words, it's not just about your carb intake, it's about what kind of carbs you're consuming. In this article, you'll learn which carbs can keep your blood sugar stable, whether or not calculating net carbs is worthwhile, and how to calculate net carbs if you want to. Impact carbs. An impact carb is any carbohydrate type that has a high impact on your blood sugar level. These carbohydrate varieties are known as high GI or high glycemic index carbohydrates, and they break down rapidly into glucose, which then makes its way to your bloodstream. When high GI carbs enter your bloodstream, unless they are immediately used for physical exercise, they typically contain more energy than your body can successfully use in one go. And everything you don't use as energy gets stored, sometimes as glycogen in your muscles and liver, but mostly as body fat. Impact carbs can be very damaging to your health and waistline when you consume them regularly in high amounts. This is why it's so important to calculate macronutrients specific to your goals, activity level, and health history. You can calculate yours here. Non-impact carbs. Now, on the other hand, non-impact or low-impact carbohydrates are low glycemic and digest at a much slower rate. Due to this prolonged release of glucose into your bloodstream, insulin spikes are less likely, and you'll experience more sustained energy levels. It's the overconsumption of high GI carbohydrates that are presumed to cause many of the negative health conditions like obesity and type 2 diabetes, hence, the rise of nutrition plans like the Keto and Atkins diets. These plans help your body make the switch from being carb-dependent to being fat-dependent, creating a healthy carb balance. The main goal in a low-carb or keto diet is to replace most carbohydrates with healthy fats and protein. But it's also important to know exactly when you can have high-impact carbs versus low-impact carbs. You can use high glycemic carbs, for instance, to help support your workouts or for sports performance. However, for anyone following a relatively sedentary lifestyle, the energy from high GI carbs isn't necessary. If you think your workouts warrant a few extra carbs, you might want to check out a cyclical ketogenic diet or a targeted keto diet. How to calculate net carbs. When it comes to carb counting, one thing that can get a little confusing is the net carbohydrates situation. Don't worry, though, it's not nearly as difficult as it sounds. Net carbohydrates are what you're left with after subtracting the grams of fiber per serving from the total carbohydrate amount per serving. For example, if an item has 20 grams of carbohydrates and it contains 8 grams of fiber, then the amount of net carbs the item contains is 12 grams. This is a great way to measure the potential damage an item could cause you. Since fiber is essential for the successful internal function of the body and contains no calories because it's not absorbed, what you're left with is the true caloric content and carbohydrate content. The keto diet is based on this system, and it allows you to successfully gauge whether you're taking in enough fiber and eating the right kinds of carbs. High GI carbs are typically very low in fiber, so you're mostly consuming sugar and not anything that